So now we look at the Pip's life in the Industrial Revolution through Charles Dickens' Great Expectation. So British society was undergoing major changes in 1861 when author Charles Dickens published Great Expectations. The Industrial Revolution created capitalists who won tremendous wealth.
And young people in England looked up to the capitalists and thought they wanted to become rich as soon as possible.
Like these young people, Pip, the protagonist of The Great Expectations, is a person who dreams of living in an upper-class society.
Pip, who became an orphan after leaving his parents as a child, lived in his sister's house. The brother-in-law group was not enough, but he made money from blacksmithing to take care of Pip, and Pip respected him and helped him with blacksmithing.
Then one day, Pip, who visited his parents' graveyard, encounters Magwitch, a prisoner who escaped the prison wearing shackles.
When the prisoner threatened Pip to bring food and tools to cut the shackles, he was scared and felt sorry for the prisoner, so he accepted the request. After that, Pip regularly visits his mansion after receiving Miss Havisham's suggestion that he needs a man to play with his adopted daughter.
So obviously, Pip fell in love with Havisham's adopted daughter Estella, but Estella ignored him and laughed at him.
The reason was that Pip was poor, his clothes were not good, and he did not have the manners of the upper class.
And Pip, who was ridiculed by Estella, was increasingly ashamed of his situation.
His respect for my brother-in-law, who is not ashamed of his poor life, has disappeared, and I hate blacksmithing.
He just thinks that he wants to become a gentleman in upper class society and show Estella, a confident appearance.
At this time, lawyer Jacques says that a person who cannot identify Pip has decided to hand over a huge fortune to you.
Instead, he suggests that in order to receive property, Pip should go to London and receive education to become a gentleman in the upper class society.
Pip, who thought it was Miss Havisham's suggestion, leaves for London immediately to become a gentleman who can marry Estella. Pip, who joined the London Gentlemen's Association, believes in the promise of giving him a huge fortune and starts to borrow money to buy clothes and books needed to become a gentleman.
On the other hand, contrary to Pip's expectations, it turns out that the person who decided to give him a huge fortune was the prisoner, who he encountered back in the graveyard.
The prisoner is caught by the police again, dies just before the execution, and all the property the prisoner was supposed to give to Pip is confiscated by the government.
At the same time, Pip also hears that Estella is marrying a man other than himself.